Alrighty, what is up, college baseball fans? Welcome to another episode of the 11.7 podcast. This is our championship series preview episode. Also, we're going to do an Omaha recap because Noah, myself, Jack, we all got to spend some time in Omaha. We'll reflect on it and talk about it and rub it in Dimitri's face for not being there, being out in Italy. Episode is brought to you by Home Field Apparel. 15% off using our promo code CWS25. Use it now. You're going to want these shirts in the summer. I think I've worn a Home Field shirt every day for like the last 3 weeks. They hooked me up. I got a bunch of extras. Maybe I'll give them away. All right. Anyways,
Wait,
so the structure of the show.
Give them to me.
I have plenty for you. Plenty.
Oh, dude. Let's go.
Yep. So the structure of the show. We are going to start with a quick little Omaha recap of just our personal experiences. Myself, Noah, maybe Jack will hop on. I think he's at a Mike Stud concert right now.
He's at a Mike Stud concert.
And then after that, we'll preview the championship series. Coastal Carolina, LSU, in my opinion, probably the greatest College World Series final that we've seen in a long time. We'll get into it. We'll get into the nitty-gritty, but it's going to be a great storyline. And then after that, we will go game by game, recap every game so far in Omaha, so that if you're a Louisville fan and you want us to talk about Louisville, we will have that towards the end of the show. Sound good? Great. Here we go. So, Omaha experience. I want to start off by saying our very own Noah Bieniek has been absolutely crushing the post-game and the pre-game press conferences. You're a natural, dude, and I haven't told you that to your face yet, but I've been getting a ton of feedback from other highly respected people in the industry, and they keep telling me that we got something special with you. The way you ask questions, the questions you ask, always respectful and very journalistic, if that's a word. And I want to congratulate you on that. It's been fun keeping up with those clips. You're doing a good job.
Thanks, Ben. Yeah. Go ahead, Dimitri.
The floor is yours, Mr. Journalistic Boy. The floor is yours.
No, I've been dreaming about being able to come out here, and I thanked you in person, Ben. I'm going to thank you and Dimitri here on this podcast, and also to the audience that allows us to be able to do a thing like this. Is like, I had applied 2 times before. This has been, my fourth full year, watching and like passionately, committed to following college baseball. And, I had been watching those press conferences every single year, wanting to, possibly get out there and do it my own way. I like being a little prepped for things. That's just the way I roll. You guys always talk about it, how I ask what the structure of the shows are going to be. I've got a notebook that I have to write something down in, and if I have to reference it, I have to reference it, because sometimes I just completely blank when I'm talking. But that was what I went to school for. That's what I enjoyed to do. And the gambling stuff was just able to get me into the door of like building a following in college baseball. And do I see that being long term? Sure. I could see myself consistently being able to pick stuff right, but I don't have to be gambling. I could just consistently give out opinions and picks, like some of the better guys do that out there. But I do enjoy like being closer to the national scene. I loved meeting everybody out there. Like that was the first time I even saw Ben in person. First time I saw Jack in person. Also just a bunch of other people that I communicate and mingle with online in person. But, in the Great Lakes, I was like one of 2 or 3 guys at each game for a lot of teams. And it's a different world in Omaha. There's like 80 people from the media covering all these guys. So, it took a little bit of adjustment, but I was able to find my footing, and I really have enjoyed my time here.
I have a question for you, dude. You roll into the press conference. First day, your first press conference in College World Series. You take a seat. I don't know if you have a little briefcase, a little backpack. I don't know what you're carrying with you. You probably got your AirPods in, listening to another podcast or another press conference as you sit down. Did you have a list of questions that you wanted to ask?
No, and I wish I did, but I did not.
Second question, did you get the feeling of like you're about to come into the game as a reliever, as a pinch hitter? Did you get the adrenaline, or did you get a little bit of the butterflies and nervous when it was your turn? Noah Beanick, 11.7, coach. Right before you said that, did you get a little bit of the feeling of like you're about to compete in a baseball game again?
1,000%. Like, just excitement, not even nervousness of it, but just excited to do it because it was something that I wanted to do. But yeah, I mean, you can ask Ben, you can ask Jack. That was not initially what I was planning, what we were planning on doing, and we adjusted on the fly. Yeah, I had nothing prepared going into media day, which is like the big day where you get to talk to all 8 teams and coaches. I was out on the field for the first practice. We were going to do a lot of fun player stuff. I was going to do it alongside Jack, but he had other, plans and priorities that he had to meet as well with the Coastal Carolina team. So unfortunately, I missed Coach Schnall, and then it was Caden Bodine and Jacob Morrison. My first presser was with Arizona. So I knew that team like the back of my hand, thankfully. But being able to start with them felt like that was pretty meant to be, because I started with them in the beginning of the year, and then
Did you stand up and say, this is Noah Beanick, coach from 11.7. I picked you to win the College World Series, and then I tried to fade you every weekend for the past 3 weekends. Is that how you opened up your question?
That was not how I necessarily started it. I didn't even write down what I asked him on that, just because I was just going in on the fly for those. But for Arizona, I just felt like I knew that team pretty well, so I was able to ask at least knowledgeable questions. But you don't even have to stand up when they call on you to ask a question. You're sitting down, Dimitri.
So Dimitri, let me partly interrupt, and it's going to be another brag on Noah. So I was in the pressers too. I like to stand off in the corner and just kind of embrace
in on some of them, and I wasn't aware. I was like, "Come sit back if you want."
Noah didn't even know I was there. But I'll tell you what separates a good journalist or a good reporter or whatever versus a lot of people that aren't as good. It's a nice way to say it. There's 2 types of people in a press conference. And like, obviously yourself, Dimitri, and myself, we don't really care about that stuff. Like, we're not journalists, we're more of opinionists, and that's the way we roll. But I do understand what makes somebody good, and it's not having pre-written down questions, because it interrupts the flow of the press conference. What Noah did really well was he would listen to what the players would say, what the coach's opening statement was, and he would say, okay, you said this, and he would tie in his question to that to make the conversation flow a lot better. There was a lot of people in the pressers that maybe weren't as experienced or not as good at their job that would just like totally change the topic away from what was just said. It was very choppy. So Noah was really good at keeping it fluid.
I noticed that. I watched a couple pressers, and the guy would be talking about 2-out hitting. I'm just making this up. So he'll be talking about 2-out hitting, and then the next person would be like, so what color Gatorade did you guys drink today? It's just like, yo, like ask something about how did you prepare for 2-out hitting, or do you attribute this 2-out hitting to XYZ to build off into something else? And I was like, dude, like,
I will say that like you're only really guaranteed 1 or 2 that you're able to ask like to a player or to a coach. So today actually I experienced maybe the other side of it, like where you go in with a plan. I have to ask this question or this question to try to get an answer to fill in this space for my story, because I wrote something on Coastal Carolina now playing in the finals, but I had like a blank or 2 where I'm like, okay, I would love something from Walker Mitchell, who I went kind of in depth on. And then I was like, I would like a little bit more from Schnall on, he ended up giving me like their exact trends and stats of some of the things that they put a lot of emphasis on. So yeah, I've now experienced both sides of it, because I'm sure a lot of people like looking on the outside in are like, yeah, why did he just completely go off topic and ask?
All right. One thing I need to correct you on, and this will get you a long way in the industry too, just because I work directly with coaches every day with my job with Synergy every day. There's too much in the College World Series press conference rooms and social media and everything. We got to stop with just saying the coach's last name. Like, it's Coach Schnall. Like, he earned that title. There was people in the press conferences that were calling him Kevin. There were people saying, "Hey, Schnall." Like, we got to cut that out. Like, everybody across the board. Like, Coach Schnall.
For me, it's just Coach. Like,
you just said Schnall.
Maybe
you just said Schnall, and I wanted to correct you there.
Okay.
It's always Coach last name until they say, "Hey, call me Bobby," or whatever.
No, when I address him, it is literally just Coach. So
okay, that's good too.
Let's be fair. On the show, I do say Lamon, you say Schlaw, but that's different than when you're addressing them.
Right. They earn that title, and they want to be known as Coach.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, when we go game by game, there will be stories that I can be able to tie in and tell throughout. But I'm excited. Let's jump into the show.
All right. Before we jump in,
you wanted to talk about more experiences.
No, it's fine. We'll mix those in here and there. I really just want to use the first 10 minutes or so to brag on you. You really did a good job.
Jack did a good job too.
Yeah, Jack crushed it, but he's also with like 8 different companies right now. So
what do you call it? A mutt? And there are like 5 different breeds.
Yeah. He's an octopus with tentacles and everything. I was also using the simile of Jack is a golden retriever chasing after a squeaker toy. Wherever that squeaker toy is thrown, that
1,000%. Yep.
I was telling that to a lot of people, and they're like, "Yeah, you are totally right."
Yep. But all right, before we get into it, I want to apologize. We were not able to record a pod earlier this week. I just moved into a house, first house that I bought. I moved in now fully. It took me 2.5 days.
Can I say this?
Traveling and stuff like that too. It was a headache. So sorry about no pod earlier.
Can I say this? My favorite comment on that was, "You need to paint that door."
I didn't get to choose the door. It's easy to paint a door. Easy.
Okay. I saw that comment, and dude, the next guy replied to that comment saying, "House looks like shit." I was like,
there was somebody that also said you need to remove the magical floating baseball.
But the guy that said it looks like shit, I was like, first of all, let me see your house. Second of all, please just shut the fuck up.
It's a brand new house. It was just built. So whatever. Always going to be people trying to rain on your parade. I don't care.
Yeah.
Social media.
Dude, that's huge though. Congrats.
Yeah. Thank you.
And you're filming in like a new studio rather than a garage.
Yeah. I have a guest room that I turned into my office. I have 2 guest rooms. So you, Jack, Dimitri, like anybody that wants to come over, let me know. You're more than welcome.
I want there to be 3 home field jerseys hanging up there. I want a Barry Bonds signed Arizona State jersey, someone in there. I also want, by the way, to the listeners, there's a guy from the Florida Gators named Preston Tucker. Had no clue who he was.
That was pre-college baseball.
Somewhere in that room.
Preston Tucker, my all-time favorite baseball player. I have his jersey. I have an orange Astros one.
You need to get it signed by him.
Yep. All right, let's get into this preview because I'm getting distracted now.
Yep. All right.
Pull up this amazing graphic you made, Dimitri. It looks like it came from Fox Sports or ESPN. Like, it's just the probable matchups. And another thing, this is why college baseball has the best postseason, because the championship is decided 2 out of 3. It's not just one game where there could be a fluke or there could be somebody that, has a costly error that has to live with it the rest of their life. It's best 2 out of 3. It's a weekend series. So we have the probable pitching matchups, LSU versus Coastal Carolina. Starts Saturday. So we're releasing this probably Saturday morning, late Friday night. I don't know. On ESPN, 7 o'clock Eastern. Sunday's game is on national television, ABC, 2:30 Eastern. And then the Monday, if necessary, game is 7:30 Eastern on ESPN. It's going to be a doozy, fellas. We are talking the titans of this sport and the LSU Tigers. Somebody that's been to 20-plus College World Series appearances. They have a ton of championships, and like they just won it 2 years ago. It's a team very familiar with Charles Schwab Field, coaching staff. LSU is LSU. They got the titans of freaking mid-major schools that have transferred in, or mid-major players that have transferred in. Like Anthony Ianson there was at UC San Diego last year. But they also have some of the top recruits in the country that have developed the last 2 or 3 years with what they have going on. So LSU, it's not a great story for them to be here, I guess, national coverage-wise, but this season didn't feel like their best season they've had. If that makes sense. And I'll dive more into that.
I think that speaks to the what's the word I was looking for? To the what is the parity of the SEC this year in college baseball? We never had a true number one. Texas was number one A&M obviously was number one.
Yeah.
And then Texas kind of took over that number one spot for a part of the year. You're just like, this team is the best team in the country.
Yep.
They lose their Friday night guy. They kind of trickled down the ranking. They lost that status of being the best team in the country. And LSU was always just floating in there in that 2 to 5 range. They were just right there on the cusp. So I think you can say this wasn't a great year on paper, talent-wise, but man, the adversity they have faced after losing to Arkansas Little Rock, you got to tip your cap. Tremendous adversity overcoming a loss to Little Rock and coming all the way to the College World Series final. Sarcasm if you didn't catch it.
Yeah, I caught it. And they're led by one of the best coaches, hands down, in the game of college baseball. That's Jay Johnson, who not only, like, people forget, he was the head coach in 2016 for Arizona, who lost to this Coastal team in the College World Series finals. But like his like track record, he would get like number one overall recruiting classes at San Diego, like back when Chris Bryant was there, right? Like he's been around a long time and successful every single step of the way. And it was funny because it might have been after LSU got swept by Auburn. LSU fans and like SEC people in general were comparing him to Coach O, like Ed Orgeron of LSU football. Like he had one lightning in the bottle a year, led by the greatest player we've seen, comparing Skeens to Joe Burrow, and then like just fade away, like just never successful again. But here he is.
My message to those guys that say that is Skeens didn't even pitch in the finals.
He didn't even pitch in the finals.
But he got him there. I mean, Wake Forest was that loaded team. Like it was. I hate when people say Skeens didn't even pitch in the finals. Like, yes, he didn't, but he got him there. They were loaded. They were prepared in the final. Thatcher Hurd turned out to be a freaking stud from UCLA. So a lot of things stars aligned, but Paul Skeens was a tremendous part of that team.
That team was way more than just Skeens, though.
Yeah,
that team was fucking loaded.
You look around their roster, it's like, oh, big leaguer, big leaguer, big leaguer. It's crazy.
I mean, I don't even know if Paul Skeens drew the most NIL. Like Tommy White coming in was like the prized possession of the world.
Ellen Cruz too.
Explain this picture.
Cruz is a recruit, but yeah.
All right, so on the YouTube, we have the picture pulled up. This was the 2016 press conference before the College World Series final. Jay Johnson is in his Arizona gear, and then legendary, one of my favorite coaches of all time, Gary Gilmore, in his Coastal gear, shaking hands right behind the trophy. Dude, and people, I get so excited talking about that 2016 Coastal team because, like, I played against the same teams they played against. I was in the SoCon, they were in the Big South. We would play midweeks against all of those teams, and even like pre-conference regular season weekend series. Like my best friend that helped start up 11.7, Dimitri knows him, James, he played at Longwood in the Big South against these guys, and they actually beat him on Friday night that year. But anyways, like the point is that Coastal team was the definition of a mid-major, and then winning the national championship in 2016 was the coolest thing ever. Obviously, they had years like I think it was like 2010, 2011, 2012. I think they all hosted regionals. Like they were a storied program before that year, but Big South is way different than the Sun Belt, right? Like as far as regular season competition, it was the coolest thing ever. The only bad part about 2016 Coastal was I think they won the national championship at like 2:15 p.m. Eastern time on like a Wednesday.
Oh, it was like a 2 p.m. Tuesday because the Monday rain out. They played a Tuesday. I remember I had thrown a
I think the game started at 11 a.m. local time.
I was at a local like travel ball tournament lobby hotel, and we were watching.
I remember. I had just got done throwing a bullpen, pulled up my phone to watch the final 3 innings of that game while driving home. I remember it. Oh,
Yeah,
I was so hyped for Coastal.
It was the coolest thing ever. But
then here's the next picture we're gonna kind of explain to tie all this together.
Yeah, so this was the Super Regional in 2016. You can see Kramer Robertson. Who is his mom again?
Yeah, who is his mom? No, I have no idea what we're talking about.
Dimitri, no, I have no idea who Kramer Robertson.
Have you been on social media the last like 8 years?
I don't
Kramer Robertson's mom. It's just like Kate and Ken's dad. Kramer Robertson's mom. Who are some other ones? Noah. Kramer Robertson's mom was the head coach of Baylor, who is now the national championship winning head coach at LSU.
Yeah, I didn't know that, and nor could I even guess that because of the different last name. I had no idea.
It's like a running joke on this show for years. It's all over Twitter every year.
Okay.
During that national championship, there were 2 people on the screen if it wasn't a player. It was some little kid with freckled red hair just staring at the camera, and it was Kramer Robertson's mom.
It's Robertson, dude. Why do you keep saying Robertson?
Hey, Dimitri, by the way, while we continue to talk about this, I tagged you in another one. Just another guy that quote tweeted the Kramer Robertson tweet from Arizona. There's a picture of him and Jay.
So okay. I'll show the listeners the
he just tweeted it like 2 hours ago.
People need to see this one, and then I'll show the other one. So this tweet, Kramer Robertson.
He says he quote tweeted the tweet and said, "I'm asking for a favor."
That's a
great picture of him crying on the field after Coastal walked.
That's an insanely great tweet.
I think it's hilarious. I think it just speaks perfectly to how bad it hurts, how much you mean, and it's a little fun joke. Like, hey, come on, guy, kick their ass for me, please.
Yeah. And then there was an Arizona player that quoted you right there.
Yeah.
It was Cody Ray. Okay. From Arizona, crying after Coastal beat him in the national championship with Jay Johnson's arm around him.
Yeah. Jay mentioned, the 2023 team, I went and texted a lot of those Arizona guys. And then he said, yeah, I've gotten texts from those Arizona guys once again, go out there and finish the job this week. So, yeah, it's really cool.
Yeah. Pull that graphic back up with the probable starters because we haven't given Coastal their flowers yet. We LSU. Coastal's a team I want to talk about.
Oh yeah.
Because one, hand up, we were kind of wrong about Coastal all year.
The entire year.
Yeah, didn't pick them to win the Sun Belt regular season tournament. We were wrong.
We picked the Troy Trojans to beat them, and guess who was wrong? Not me.
Yeah, that was the one thing we got right on.
But that was their only series loss all year, I think.
It was
Troy Trojan.
Yeah,
and I went back and read our and you know what? Wait, time out. About 5 minutes. You know what's great about Coastal proving us wrong is one, we're able to there's too many people in this industry that are high on their high horse at all times, and if things don't go their way, they don't acknowledge it. But then when things go right, they're the first ones to point it and brag in your face. I'm glad Coastal proved us wrong. if anything, like we accept being wrong more than anybody else in this college baseball world. Like, I love to see Coastal Carolina where they're at. I've fallen in love with not only their coaching staff, but their players, the way they play the game. Like, they play the game the way it should be played. And it's not a mid-major. Like, we rank them in our mid-major power rankings, but
because of the
amount
league
of
they
support
play.
and fans and facilities, like they have everything that any Power 4 team has, and it's just going to keep getting better. Their players, getting to talk with them in the practices, in the back hallways down below the stadium in between games, they're like the most respectful, like the most like determined, focused players in the world. Like, we're going to look back on this team and be like, oh, there was 6 major league players on this team. It's one of those. So yes, we were wrong about them all year, but I'm glad we were wrong because, like, they are no joke. They are the real freaking deal. It was almost like we kept waiting for them to fade off, and they just never have.
Yeah.
I want to look at our preseason. What did we write about Coastal?
So
we were just saying, like, I went back and reread it. Our Coastal preseason mid-major was like basically, hey, the arms should be better this year. Their ERA as a team last year was really bad. Like, it's hard to win games. But we had a lot of question marks on the offensive side. They lost like 50 home runs from last year's team. And I don't know, just talk about how they have to replace a bunch of starters.
So this is what we said. Coastal will always hit, but at what level is the question. Pitching side of things have always been a crapshoot in Conway, but it is very possible this might be their most experienced and talented group of pitchers the last few years. The issue with the offense is not as elite, so relying on Coastal pitching is sketch. Cliche to say this team can win the Sun Belt if there are 3 or 4 teams capable. The Coastal at the very least should be in the mix for an at-large bid.
Yeah.
I mean, they have the nation's longest winning streak right now. They're a 1 seed, so it wasn't even like they were in a mix. They totally earned it.
They totally earned it. And one more thing. There is not one person outside of maybe like the Coastal Carolina players and coaching staffs that would have predicted their pitching staff doing what they did this year.
No.
And there's not one person that would have predicted the complete shift in the offense. If we're comparing this to football, they used to run the run and gun, like, spread offense. Now they're running like the power I, lining up in the A gap and running the ball down your throat over and over again. It was a complete offensive, like, just change of scenery. It's crazy.
Where do you want me to start? The pitching or the offense?
Well, I want to bring up one thing before Noah starts. It is so cool and crazy to me that Kevin Schnall was Coach Schnall, excuse me, with Gilmore for 23 years.
Yeah.
Probably absorbed and kind of just warped into Coach Gilmore, excuse me, style of coaching, philosophy, all that stuff. He rolls in. Their offense seems less power dependent, more create chaos on the base paths, more productive 2-out hitting, more productive 1-out hitting, more productive moving runners over, just more productive at bat, 1 through 9, innings 1 through 9. And I think it's really interesting that Gilmore had his offense. Coach Schnall had created his own identity of an offense as a head coach while coaching with Gilmore for 23 years. So it's always interesting to me, did Coach Schnall wait 23 years for his shot? Say, I love Gary. We built something awesome together, but I want to do it my way. Was he really waiting 23 years, or was he just looking at this roster and saying, this is the best way to win and this is how we're going to do it?
I think that's more like
probably say the second option of like, hey, this is who we have. Let's maximize who we have. And like, we're not going to have 15 guys with 10 homers.
Correct.
It's just not going to happen.
Yeah.
And that's what good coaches do. They adapt to their roster instead of saying, oh, my style, it just didn't work this year. They just didn't do the way I wanted them to do this year, so we had a shitty year. It doesn't work that way. Every year is one opportunity.
When you look at like 3 true outcome type of stuff, where it's home runs, walks, or strikeouts, Coastal Carolina's offense does not jump off the page because of what they preach. And as you can see, what they preach has totally worked this season. Freeze is what Coach Kevin Schnall calls them. Walks and hit by pitches. And gosh, they just set the nation's all-time record in HBPs. And then he goes by win the big inning war, which I asked him, it's 3 or more runs in an inning, scoring first, win the race to 7, and just run the bases well. You know, he said today they're 37-2 when they score first in games this year. They're 37-1 when they get to 7, like just score 7 runs, because the pitching's that good, in my opinion. You don't need to score 7. They just get there and it's out of reach. 42-1 when they have more big innings than the other team. It all makes sense. It all clicks. To me, it's like, how can you simplify it the most to make sure that your team knows what you want out of them? It makes a whole lot of sense. And Ben, I know, loved the clip too. Like, somebody asked him, what is the philosophy of just, taking the pitch, getting hit by a pitch? And he's like, they don't eat if they move out of the way.
Being able to sit in his press conferences, he's a very serious and like intimidating guy. Like, if anybody played baseball growing up from like 1995 to 2009, 2010, we all played for a hard-nosed coach that had a funny side to him, like a comedic side, but you just never knew when to laugh or not. And when he said, like, well, it's easy, like, our guys don't eat if they get out of the way. And like, nobody in the press room laughed for 10 seconds. They were so nervous to laugh around. It was my type of baseball coach. Like, those hard-nosed Wayne Graham, Augie Garrido types that, like, they have some jokes up their sleeve. Bill Belichick kind of the same way. And when they crack a joke, you're like, wait, do I laugh at this or no? Is he gonna crush my skull through the chair?
Yeah, you got your mouth wires shut. You got cabled wires in your face. You just got the ever-loving shit kicked out of you. Like, I would have laughed at that.
Yeah.
But I have a question for you guys. Now, seeing Coach Schnall in person, understanding who he is, does his reaction to Kevin O'Sullivan thing in Conway make more sense now? Are you like, oh, now I can see why he was so pissed, why he took the route or the direction or the position that he did?
I want to make this very clear. I don't think we know, like, we don't know him on a personal level or anything.
No, we don't.
Okay. I think if I had to make an assumption, like, he is very father-like figure to that baseball program. Like, he is a protector, a defender, and like always has his people's back. And like, I think he knows that he can make a statement to the media or to the public if somebody is acting like a jackass around him, or to his players or to his program, whoever. Like, he's a guy that he'll have your back if you play for him or if he likes you. That would be my assumption.
Yeah, don't get me wrong. Coastal's team is talented, but I think you've got to attribute.
I'll put it to you this way: Sully would never do that to Coach Schnall's face. He would never act like that. I think Coach Schnall would bury it.
Most people probably wouldn't act that way to another coach's face either. But yeah. I really think that culture that he's built is the reason why they are here. Not to take away from how talented they are, but it starts from the top. So yeah. The guy has earned everything that has come his way, and I hope we'll see what happens in the next couple of days. But yeah, so I think we should get into it.
It'll be impossible for me to like bring up everything that I wrote, but the article that I put out on 11.7.com is literally everything that Coach Kevin Schnall has like talked about in the press conferences. A lot of people in that room, I can sense that like there's not really a whole lot of comprehension there, and some are like, it's Coastal, this guy's just kind of doing coach speak. But if you take the time to really go through it and figure out what the hell's going on here with Coastal Carolina, this run is not a fluke. And I mean, they are a very good ball club, and they have perfected exactly what they wanted to do, both on the offensive and the defensive / pitching side of things in those 6 categories that they like.
Yeah. And dude, everybody on the roster is bought in all the way. It's crazy.
I love it.
Let's get into it, Ben. What do we got Saturday, 7 p.m. on ESPN?
Can I say this first before we start giving out predictions? The wind has been blowing in the entire College World Series 10 miles an hour-ish, 20, like higher blowing in this weekend. So Coastal Carolina's offense is really going to be able to play here. Big boppers like a Jared Jones or an Ethan Fry trying to lift the ball, that might not work. So take that into account here.
Yeah, I think these players, though, are smart enough. Like, they're not going to be trying to hit jacks. I know for me, if the wind's blowing 20 miles an hour in, like, I'm making an adjustment early.
Yeah.
Anyways, but it's good to know. What do you think the over-under is going to be set at, Noah?
It's 8.5 right now, game one.
8.5.
I like the under.
So we've got Cade Anderson, Cameron Flukie, confirmed game one starter. Cade Anderson, I think Ben has been in love with the guy since week 1, week 2. The guy just knows how to pitch. Ben's word, he just knows how to pitch.
Pitchability through the roof. And, dude, you should have – I mean, I know you watched it on TV, but in person, that game he threw against Arkansas was incredible. Incredible. Like, he looked like a big leaguer.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sorry, but, like, my phone the background on my phone's already taken by somebody else. By an incredible
picture of Gage Wood as your background.
That's, dude, 19 strikeouts, no walks, just 1, technically 2 hit by pitches, no hits.
Another man as your background, but you don't know.
That's like the best pitching performance you're ever going to see in person.
Which is fine. There are plenty of ways to admire and appreciate that. Putting him as your background of your phone is not one of them.
Dude,
like you can see if you like saves your mom from a burning building. Like, sure, dude.
We've talked about this. Doing this after like you hit a home run, after you strike out the side, after you close out a ball game, swiping your hand across the team name across your chest,
it gets you an automatic background wallpaper on your phone.
To me, it gives you an automatic retweet.
You can give me 100 reasons. Having Gage Wood as your iPhone lock screen background is just I don't know if I can allow you to do that. That's just questionable.
Name me a better pitching performance that I'm going to see in my lifetime.
I mean, you're a fan of the Detroit Tigers. Tarek Skubal does it day in and day out. Do you have Tarek Skubal as your background? No, because it's weird.
Yeah, it used to be
you, man. Hey, do you?
It used to be me and my dog, but now it's the dog and Gage Wood.
So you like Gage Wood more than your dog now?
Well, my dog, unfortunately.
Your lay dog.
So, yeah.
We're getting distracted, fellas.
Cade Anderson, Cameron Flukie.
Yeah.
What do you guys think of this pitching matchup to kick this final series off?
What do I think of the pitching matchup?
Yes.
I mean, there's not going to be very many runs scored. A lot of swing and miss.
Those are two guys that are going to go out and get at least 18 outs for their teams.
This is Clayton Kershaw versus Justin Verlander. Like, that's what this is. Who do you like more? Who's going to win? I don't know.
We're just talking about matchups, dude. We're not making picks here. I think
it's a low-scoring game.
I think Coastal style of offense is going to play really well. LSU, hey, they're LSU. We don't even need to talk about Arkansas game. We'll get there, but I think Flukie's just got to get ahead in the count early and keep LSU just at bay, keeping runners off base, which I think Coastal does a really good job of. They don't allow a lot of free passes. They don't make defensive errors. So I think LSU is going to have to put 2-3 with the wind blowing in, especially 2-3-4 hits together to get 1-2 runs across.
Let me ask you guys this. Let's get a little bit more in depth than just making picks. If you're LSU, who do you start at third base? Do you go with the more defensive approach, knowing it's going to be a low-scoring game with Michael Braswell, who's been struggling at the plate, but a wizard with the glove? Or do you go with a guy like Tanner Reeves, who can hit? I mean, he's a left-handed hitter, probably matches up better against Flukie defensively, still like not bad, but not nearly in the same world.
Braswell's not been like incredible defensively this year either. If you look at the numbers,
I don't think you change anything. I think you just ride with the guy that's been there. He's
That's
been
what I
doing
would
it. You
do.
leave Braswell in there.
Well, they did change it last game, I think.
No, he was
Reeves
still
didn't start last game.
no.
Braswell was at third against Arkansas.
They intentionally walked Stanfield to get the Braswell early in that game.
Okay, my
And
bad.
it worked.
They struck him out. But the point, I mean, dude, I don't think you change anything. You roll. I know Jay Johnson loves doing it. I know he loves doing it. He played around with Bear Jones. He played around with a couple guys in that lineup to try to get more fastballs to them, whatever the case may be.
He's just going to ride with the senior, you know?
Ride with Braswell, who's been there. He's done it. He's, yeah, dude. No, I wouldn't change anything.
Well, I disagree. I think Tanner Reeves needs to start.
Well, that's why everyone has their own opinion.
I don't know if there's a right or
if it's going to be a low-scoring game projected, you might as well get all of your bats in the lineup. You don't want an automatic out.
Or you take the guy that's going to make that defensive play to keep a 3-2 ball game. You never know. Or takes away a hit down the line, rolls a double play, whatever the case may be. Just roll with Braswell.
Maybe put Braswell in like the 7th, 8th inning.
I mean, are we going to forget? Are we going to forget what Jordan Thompson did for this LSU team a couple years ago? Everyone wanted him out of the lineup too. He single-handedly won them a game in that finals 2 years ago. So I think you roll with it, let the punches come, and see what happens. But
who scores first?
What?
Who scores first?
Who scores first?
Yeah, sorry. I don't know if it's my
I have no idea.
Who scores last?
But that matchup Friday, I think arguably gets better on Sunday. That matchup on Saturday gets even better on Sunday. You got Anthony Ianson, who I think is the more electrifying pitcher than Cade Anderson. Cade Anderson's going to get the job done. Anthony Ianson probably got a higher ceiling, more electrifying, more fun to watch maybe. And you got Jacob Morrison, who hasn't pitched in 2 years, came onto the scene this year, the midweek starter, turned into a Friday night guy, and now has been Sun Belt Pitcher of the Year, one of the most reliable arms in the country this year. So, I mean, this series just lines up so well.
Undefeated, dude. 12-0 this year. What's better than perfection?
Yeah.
Nothing. Dude, watching Jacob Morrison compete in that winner's bracket game on Sunday was some of the most like poetic stuff I've ever seen. He looks like an NBA player out there, first of all. He's giant, like shoulders, height, like he's just got it all. And it's not like the picture perfect delivery, if that makes sense. Like I'm not a pitcher, but maybe you can relate, Dimitri. Like, he kind of has like a hitch to it, but I think it hides the ball really well because nobody took, other than that like second or third inning with a homer and a couple deep fly balls, like nobody took confident swings against him. It's either like a power sinker or he hides the ball well, like late. I don't know what it is, whether it's late movement or
he worked with Matt Williams, and what Williams told him is, hey, you're 6'8". You don't have to do a lot of things that other guys have to do to create velocity. You already have all that body mass building that for you. So he's like, yeah, I don't really drop, I don't really drive type of deal. And he's got a good, like, fastball is already at the letters to begin with. And then he's got the slider cutter that moves off of it. And then he's developed that curveball that really creates that top to bottom of it.
Let me give you guys a good example of how to explain this. You know how people are obsessed in Little League with the MLB equivalent velo of these 12-year-olds?
Yeah, go ahead. I know.
Think of it the same distance as every other pitcher. You're 60 feet, 6 inches. Guys like Jacob Morrison, guys that are super tall, they get that extra extension. They're coming down the mound, and they're probably releasing the ball at 54 feet, 55 feet, whatever the number is. So take what I just said about the Little League distance equivalency. Jacob Morrison might throw a 92-mile-an-hour fastball that might play the same as a Gage Wood 96. somebody that's shorter, probably throwing in a 58 foot release point. Yeah. So that's kind of the idea between getting extension, and then you get that spin, you get all the induced vertical break, blah 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 blah. But extension played a big role into how quick a ball can get on a hitter's hand.
That makes a lot of sense because
it does.
Yeah. Anyways, it was just poetic to watch. Ionson's first start wasn't great. I don't know why. It felt like his stuff was still there, and then the rain delay comes or whatever, and he gets pushed the next day. He can't go.
UCLA jumped on him, and he just never got to be able to settle in.
Yeah, I guess, but yeah, maybe they came in with a plan, and I don't know, attacked one or two pitches. Maybe he was tipping his pitch, but as far as pure electricity, when he's going, it is unstoppable. We've seen it a few starts this year, and he's going to be a number one or a number two in a major league rotation one day. He's that kind of guy.
Keep in mind, Kason Evans might not even start Game 3. He is probably projected and slated to start Game 3, but Jay Johnson will use him in Game 1 or Game 2 if there's an opportunity to slam a door or whatever the case may be. That guy will be in there with Chase Short. So
I agree.
Well, I think the same thing for Eichhoff too. I could see they piggybacked Eichhoff and Fluky Game 1 of the College World Series. Eichhoff gave him a hell of a 4 innings, good start, and then Fluky kind of got hit around a little bit, but ended up settling in and finished the game. It wouldn't surprise me one bit. I know Coastal's got a great bullpen. They probably don't need Eichhoff, but if the matchup fits Eichhoff better, they're going to throw him out there. He might not start Game 3.
Fluky, by the way, it was more walks, and he hit 3 or 4 batters in that Arizona game.
Arizona just catched from three passing.
Yeah.
So, I think let's just start with this. Are we going to 3 games in the series?
No.
I hope not, actually, because there is a slight chance for rain on Monday, and I have an early flight Tuesday morning.
I think one or the other takes this.
Wait a minute. You're telling me Monday's game could get rained out and they could play this at 11 a.m. on Tuesday?
20 fucking 6.
Oh my gosh! Slam Coastal money line if they play in the Tuesday morning game. Yeah, I'm just kidding. But hey, Ben, you tweeted. Oh, this feels like Coastal's year when they were in the rain delay at Auburn. I think it was.
Mm-hmm.
You're like, oh my God, this is just like the Coastal 20. And I'm like, and every time I keep looking back on the sign, they're all there. Coastal's still playing.
Let me bring this back up. Do you remember the what did we call it? The college baseball something fortune cookie.
Oh, yeah.
Fortune cookie.
Yeah.
I don't remember exactly what it said. We opened it on regional selection show Monday. And it was something like
you're destined for continued good health and happy blah, blah, blah. And you related it to the retirement.
It was something like that. Coastal Carolina was the first team that came to my mind. It fit Coastal Carolina perfectly with Coach Gilmore retiring, with Coach Schnall taking over. And it was continued success. They were on a 20-game win streak at that point. And we were like, oh, it's Coastal. The fortune cookie is telling us Coastal Carolina is going to win the national championship.
Yeah.
All the signs are pointing to Coastal. Every 8 seasons, a mid-major wins the College World Series. That's due. You can't count 2020 because there was no College World Series. So 8 seasons ago was Coastal Carolina. 8 seasons before that was Fresno State. Everything is lining up, and that's why I have Coastal Carolina winning it in 2 games.
Oh, don't, Ben. You couldn't do that, though. We've picked against them the entire year. That's why they've won.
He has a point.
Well,
yeah.
No, I had Coastal Carolina in the
finals. It doesn't matter.
I'm thinking. I came into this thing, into the College World Series, with LSU winning the national championship. I'm going to stick to it. I think Coastal has a very good chance of winning this series too. Coastal's plus 155 to do so. I think LSU's minus 190, minus 195. If you're looking to bet a series, like this series, Take Coastal. If it gets to a game 3 and Eichhoff versus Evans or Eichhoff versus Zach Cowan, or any sort of matchup like that, I really think that it's going to be like an LSU minus 130. And you can jump on an LSU just game 3. And now you're riding a Coastal plus 155 and an LSU money line in game 3. And you're going to be able to make some type of profit. That would be how I attack this.
I don't know why you keep saying that. Dude, they're winning in 2 games. Coastal Carolina is going to win this in 2 games.
That would be how I attack it from a betting standpoint and a neutral point of view.
Let me ask
you. The writing is on the wall.
Well, if Coastal wins it in 2, you have the plus 155.
Easy.
Let me ask you this: you're won 26 straight game. You forgot what it feels like to lose at this point. You don't even remember the last time you lost a game. If Coastal loses, let's just say game 1, do you think they have it in them to regroup, say, fuck it, we lost the game, and rebound?
This is the dumbest scenario I've ever
heard.
No, I'm just asking the question.
Coach Schnall was asked this. Do you want to know his answer?
I would love to hear it.
The coaches are going to yell at the guys a lot.
Obviously joking.
Yeah.
So that's my only concern. Is if Coastal loses a game, how will they rebound? And you might think it's a stupid question. It's not stupid, Ben.
That's a stupid question.
You haven't lost in so long. It's one of those, oh, shit, I guess we got to turn around and get right back after it. That's the easiest answer. But you forgot how.
This isn't like a Saturday in March, though.
No, obviously you're going to get up and ready to play again. But the mojo, that little chip on your shoulder, that confidence, you just got, as Noah would say, a dent in your armor.
That's not.
Obviously not. You get a little dent in your armor. Can you take the punch again? That's all I'm analyzing this. But I think, dude, watching LSU come back and win against Arkansas, I think as much as the script writers have Coastal winning them, I'm taking LSU. And I want Coastal to win. I be clear on that. I took Auburn in the Super Regional. I took Florida in the Conway Regional. I'm taking LSU here. And I would be so happy to see Coastal win.
Yeah, I have LSU winning this one too. I just have a little bit of nervousness about Coastal's arms aren't necessarily overpowering. They throw to contact. They have a good defense behind them, so that's why they're able to really.
What's your definition of overpowering?
Well, I'm looking at 2 guys that have K/9s below 9.
K/9s don't matter, dude. That's the most useless.
It does matter.
I mean, LSU's seen,
strikeout percentage is much better than K/9. Because you could give up 6 runs in an inning and strike out 3.
LSU just ran into Gabe Jackal twice, and they won both games. So,
wait, hold on. Did you just say strikeouts don't matter?
K/9 is strikeout percentage is much better than K/9.
Well, in this case, Coastal's strikeout percentage is even lower. If their K/9 is their strikeout percentage is even lower.
That's not true. I'm trying to explain it to you. If a pitcher gives up 3 runs in an inning but has 3 strikeouts, his K/9 is 27. But if you strike out 2 guys, you go 3 up, 3 down, your K/9 is only 18, but your ERA is still 0. And you went 3 up, 3 down.
Hold on. If you say you come in for 1 inning, you face the whole lineup, you give up 6 runs, you strike out 3, you get your 3 out. Your strikeout percentage is 33%, right? But your K/9 is 27. Your strikeout percentage is always going to be lower than your K/9. You get what I'm saying?
Well, I'm not arguing the 2 versus each other. I'm saying that K/9 does not tell how good of a pitcher you are.
Well, I'm trying to prove your point that strikeout percentage proves it even more. How good of a pitcher you are. K/9 inflates how good you are as a strikeout pitcher.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? So you're disproving your own point without even realizing it.
No, but I'm saying that you don't have to have a 13.9 K/9 versus 10.3. You know what I don't know how to explain this.
You're realizing it.
No, I don't know how to explain this because you're arguing the wrong thing here. K per 9 means nothing other than like probably swing and miss. That's all.
For a starting pitcher, K per 9 is very relevant.
That's what I was talking about. Swing and miss. Like LSU's
K percentage is way more relevant. That's what I'm arguing. K percentage. What percentage of the batters do you strike out? Versus like.
Well, that means it's just even lower.
Yeah.
Lower than what? Lower than what?
The 10.3, 8.8, 7.1 that's on this graphic, it would look even less.
What do you mean less? We're not. They're two totally different things.
They are. So Fluky and Morrison are probably top 20 pitchers in the country.
Yes.
Like less as in they're still good, but it's, you see two of those guys every weekend in the SEC.
No, Noah. Less than what? It would appear less
than Cade and Anthony, that's for sure.
I'm going to explain this to you. Cameron Fluky is striking out 10.3 batters per 9 inning pitch, right?
Right.
He's got a 3.29
How
ERA.
often can you go 9 innings?
But if he's a starter with 60, 70, 80 innings, so it is a very true number. It is a more relevant number than a reliever with 20 innings.
You're arguing for K percentage now.
No, I'm explaining to you that K per 9 for a starting pitcher is totally fine. K percentage, he's got a 3.29 ERA. So that means he's got base runners. He's got hitters doing something other than striking out. So his strikeout percentage is going to look even lower. If his ERA was 0 and his whip was 0, that means his strikeout percentage is going to be through the roof high because all the other hitters are doing nothing but striking out.
Which Ben agrees with that. But
that's what I'm saying.
But yeah,
but the point is, you're saying that LSU's strikeout percentages are so high, and Coastals are not very high. If you strikeout percentages, it's going to be even lower. The disparity is going to be even more.
What is lower? What?
Gosh, let's move
on.
What
is lower? Like what? No. I'm not getting teamed up. I'm not getting teamed up between you two. What do you mean the disparity is lower? They're two completely different stats. What are you saying?
Stats, but it's going to show that he is striking out.
Cameron Fluky's strikeout percentage will be lower than Cade Anderson. Is that what you're saying?
No, I'm saying if it was a graphic on a screen with Ks per 9 and strikeout percentage, if you see Cameron Fluky's 10.3 Ks per 9, you'd be like, wow, pretty good. He's striking out a lot of guys. If you see a strikeout percentage,
easier
he's not striking out that many people. It's an illusion on the number.
Plus, it's easier to understand. Oh, Jacob Morrison's just under a strikeout per 9 innings.
Okay, so we're getting back on the same page. We're getting back on the same page.
Percentage would be lower, and I can explain to you what lower means. It's going to mean.
That's what I'm asking.
What?
All I was talking about. The only reason why I brought this up.
He's mad that we use K per 9 and not strikeout percentage because strikeout.
No, I'm not mad. No, I'm that the graphic looks great. I'm saying that Noah was saying that these pitchers are better because of the K per 9, and I'm like, that is not.
Pitchers are better. No. I'm saying more balls are going to be put in play by LSU's offense.
That's still not true, though. That's my point.
Because why isn't it true compared to?
Because K per 9, you can have 4 doubles in the gap, and in between strikeouts.
Yeah, but a lot of the guys that LSU faces in the SEC have higher strikeout percentage than Coastal Carolina's arms too.
That doesn't matter, though.
I'm saying it does because they've played they've seen this type of quality arm week in and week out. That's my point.
Well, okay, I don't know if I'm going to agree with you on that part, which you're not wrong, but Coastal just walked into Plains Park and swept.
Oh, yeah, I'm not saying.
Before national seed Auburn. So Auburn's hitting obviously struggled with Coastal pitching.
I got interrupted in the entire thing. Cade and Anthony are like 2 top 5 pitchers.
Correct. Arguing that.
That's my entire, prediction.
I'm saying that the K per 9 means nothing about balls in play. Means nothing about balls in play.
K per 9 means almost just as much as strikeout percentage. If you want
No.
to get
Not with balls in play.
Why? If a reliever is a guy that comes out of the bullpen with man in second and third, one out, you want a guy with a high K percentage. Because what does he do? He comes in and gets strikeouts to get out of a jam. A starter with a K per 9, he's got 80 innings. So his strikeout numbers, he's not coming in the game inheriting runner to just get strikeout. That makes sense?
No, I need you guys to both understand. K per 9 has nothing to do with play.
We are wasting time
you guys need to understand
the great tournament on K per 9 versus K per 9.
You guys need to understand that K per 9 means nothing about there won't be balls put in play.
Yeah, it does.
No, of course it does. He's averaging 14 Ks per 9. If he averaged 14 Ks per 9, and
that means 2 balls are being put in play at least per inning.
But there could be endless. Like he could give up 6 singles.
Yeah.
Those balls are put in play.
And again, that is more in favor of my prediction of LSU. So thanks for proving my point on the pick.
No, wait, you can't say that. You're not allowed to say that.
Look at him.
No. You don't get to play the Uno reverse card and that proves my point more. Explain why it proves your point more.
I've already done it. Let's move on.
No points given. We're turning in the first take with Stephen A. and Skip Bayless and whoever the hell else. I'm ending this. We are moving on. Ben, you have Coastal in 2 games. Noah, you have LSU in 2 games. I have LSU in 3 games. Enough with this bullshit about K per 9 to strikeout percentages. It all does not matter. LSU strikes out more guys than Coastal starters. That's all that matters. Okay. What are we talking about next, Ben? Thank you for your time.
Pull up the bracket graphic. Let's have some.
Oh, my Lord.
I can't believe we just went 10 minutes.
Ben just
I would have went another hour until you understood that you were wrong.
I understand how it works.
I don't think you do. I don't think you do.
I cannot wait till we get some comments on this.
I'm not gonna. I have another point to disprove Ben, but I'm not going to do it. Right now. It's not working. All I'm going to say is strikeout percentage is good for relievers that come in and inherit runners and bullpen arm.
Yeah.
For starter, it doesn't matter. Ks per 9 is a great representative of how well they strike people out. Anthony Irons got a 2.5 ERA. I forgot what it said on the graphic.
That's not what I'm arguing. I'm arguing that K per 9 has nothing to do with balls in play, which was Noah's point.
Oh, okay, I'm not arguing that. I'm just explaining K per 9 and strikeout percentage mean 2 totally different things. But for starter with 90 innings, K per 9 is a very well represented stat.
I don't want this to keep going, so that's why
I don't either.
Going to respond to Ben.
Anyway,
but I hate that he got the last jab in, and he knows that that's not what I meant.
Okay, we'll deal with this off air. Listener, chime in. Coastal Arizona, 1 p.m., Game 1 of the College World Series. Let's start there.
Great freaking game.
Go ahead.
Well, I mean, you had the top of the first inning, Arizona gets a single by Brendan Summerhill. There's a runner on first base, dugouts making some noise. They got bananas and whatever that was. And then, Eichhoff goes in and really settles in and gets a couple of outs. And then the third out of the inning, Brendan Summerhill attempts to steal second base. I think he was called safe first. They review it. It's overturned. He's out. Caden Bodine, he's now 1 caught stealing shy of tying the program record, apparently, because he didn't get credited with one in the Auburn Super Regional. Nobody's stolen a base on him since, or at least attempted to, from what I can remember.
Oh my God.
Second inning, Coastal Carolina goes out and scores first. They get 2 runs. I thought Kramkowski pitched out of jams the entire game for the most part. But when you get into the late innings and the long-haired blonde, I believe his name was Hintz, pitched well. Then they go to Tony Pluta, I believe it was afterwards. Maybe it was Casey Hintz is the right-hander.
Number 99, right?
Hicks was the long-haired blonde. He pitched well the first appearance, not so much second one. Anyways, Pluta was just a little bit off this weekend. And He inherited a couple of runners, gave him up. Coastal Carolina jumped all over him. And Arizona, who was tied 4-4 with Coastal in the 8th, gave the game away a little bit.
Yeah.
It was like I'm sweating my ass off now. I got my fan off because of the noise with the microphone, and then that argument just got my blood pressure up. I'm sweating my ass off now. So Ben, I'm pissed at you now.
It's not my fault. You should be pissed at Noah.
What?
Statistics. Yeah, for this game, I want to take credit for Coastal's win. Right as Arizona got the momentum and tied the game up, I changed my seat, and immediately after that, Coastal put a 3-spot up in the 8th, take the lead 7-4, and ended up winning the game. So this was a game where I think Arizona's probably kicking themselves. They could have kept scoring in that. Was it the 7th or the 8th to take a lead? I want to say they left a runner on third with 1 out, didn't score that run, but it was just the resilience of the Chanticleers. They once they got like a little bit of momentum in that bottom of the 8th, it was game over. Really good crowds from both teams. Like Coastal brought a ton of fans, including oh my gosh, I just blanked on his name. I talked to him too for a little bit. Who was the left fielder for Coastal when they won it in 2016?
Owings?
No. Are you talking about the beard guy?
Yeah.
Oh, he was their table setter.
Oh my gosh, dude.
While we're pulling this up, the bottom of the order in that game.
I'm so embarrassed.
The bottom of the order in that game went like 4 for 8 or something like that. Ridiculous. The bottom of the order was the one that they 6, 7, 8.
I'll tell you right now. Anthony Mark.
Yeah, he was there. I mean, he was so much fun. Freaking blast. He might have done a pencil talk with Jack too after the game.
That's awesome.
Hey, I don't want to spend this much time on every single game. We'll be here all damn night. So I just let's do this. Just give me you guys, because I personally missed a lot of games. I had to watch Wheels this week. That weekend I was playing games. I was at the beach. Like I had a lot of other things going on. So,
well, the coolest thing about Coastal Carolina, Arizona was the flyover. There was like some type of freaking air. It looked like a paper airplane, and it was loud as hell. So cool, going so fast.
Ben, you recap the game, and I'll tell like post-game stories. How about that?
Deal.
We'll just pick the most memorable game. We don't need to talk about every game because we don't need to talk about Arizona Louisville elimination game. We don't really need.
Well, Oregon State Louisville day 1 was fun because your boy Dax completely
He dominated. He dominated.
Dude, Dax Whitney is going to be a problem the next 2 years in college baseball.
Oh my God!
Like, dude, just stay healthy.
We ran into his dad post game at Raising Cane's.
Yeah, we did.
And he listened to the
family.
Entire family, like 3 younger kids, like uncle was probably
aunts and uncles. It was everybody.
And Dax's dad comes up to Jack and I. He's like, "Yeah, I listened to the pod. I can't believe you drafted number 1 overall, but he went out there and looked pretty good."
Hey,
he was, but like Forbes matched him like bar for bar. Like his slider was unhittable. Had those right-handed hitters.
Really bad in that game.
Shadows were bad. They were really bad. But what was I gonna say? Forbes matched him. Like it was a really good pitcher's duel. And then Louisville was down 3-1 in the 9th. First batter was, I think, Zion Rose. He hits a ball to left fielder, dives, misses it, leadoff triple, and then the wheels like fell off for Oregon State. But they escaped the jam. They came out bottom of the 9th, and it was over pretty quickly.
Yeah. Game 1 against Oregon State Louisville was inversed in game 2 when those teams ran into each other again. It was kind of crazy. You want to do the bracket 2 first round, or do you want to continue doing bracket?
Yeah, let's go to bracket.
Bracket, get through that, then we'll talk about the most memorable games, whatever, and then we'll go to the other side.
All right.
I mean, Jacob Morrison was I already mentioned it. It was
Oregon State.
Yeah,
something special against Oregon State. That night game, it didn't live up to the LSU Arkansas crowd wise. Like the crowd wasn't chanting LSU and woo pig suey or whatever, but the stadium was packed. It was a beautiful night and like awesome weather. And it was every big moment went Coastal's way. Like, that's the best way to explain it. Like they score 3 runs in the top of the first. Thorndike hits the double, the triple, clears the bases, and it was just like every big moment, Morrison would step up and end the inning on a strikeout. They might have had runners on first and second, 2 outs. Morrison's hopping off the mound screaming. Like he was exciting, really exciting to watch.
Yeah, I will say too about Coastal Carolina in this game, they really just displayed the quality of the lineup top to bottom. Everybody got on base in this one, and they scored 2 runs in the first inning, which has just been a steady theme through the NCAA.
Hey, can I ask you a question? I'm used when I watch the College World Series, I see the elimination game. I'm really used to seeing the outfield, the upper deck, kind of empty in some of these elimination games. This year, I didn't see it at all.
The game's growing, man. I was talking to Ben.
Every game, like semi, where you look around, it's like, wow, this place is packed.
I was talking to Ben.
It really was maybe that Oregon State Louisville game. The outfield was a little empty
for the afternoon game. Yeah,
for the afternoon game. But you're right, Dimitri. Like, dude, there were so many people in downtown Omaha. It was a sweet place to be.
You know who showed up pretty dang well in their first game was Oregon State. That place was.
Oregon State traveled really well. I thought Arizona would be the team that didn't travel, but like they had a huge fan base, loud too.
Yeah. That first game, Coastal Arizona, I was like, I don't know necessarily how many fans I expect to be at this game, but I was.
Yeah, the weekend crowd were probably all flying in. They didn't all get in there. They had to get off work, whatever, half day, whatever. So,
but it was completely full. Like there were not many seats open. I was talking to Ben the entire game. I was like, I'm very impressed.
Dude, there was a couple games like we couldn't find a seat.
No.
Like like being in the media credential world, you don't get a seat. Like you can go anywhere in the stadium that you want, but like if there's not a seat to sit down in, you can't go. So like for the LSU Arkansas game, I stood behind home plate, like on the concourse the whole game.
Which is a great spot, to be honest. You see the crowd reaction of every play.
My feet hurt. My toes were hurting.
It was also the Coastal Oregon State game too. We stood with Quiggs for a couple of innings, right?
Yeah, we did. Yeah, Quiggs is the man. Out there. Freaking love
let me ask you guys this. Oregon State had a chance against Louisville in that elimination game. It felt like Oregon State let it slip away.
1,000.
I mean, but we got to give Louisville gave it to them in that 8th inning, 9th inning, ground ball to short. Alisea lets it go through. Oregon State survived. You're like, oh my God, Oregon State gets everything going their way. Yeah. Every time it comes down to it, they find a way. And then the last inning was a disaster for Oregon State. So I thought Oregon State had a shot to force a winner take all if they would have gotten the Coastal again.
Yeah. I knew I was going to be able to probably fit this in somewhere during the pod. I'll do it here. Out of all the coaches that have done like media availability, if there was one that I would like, I'm going to commit to this guy and play 4 years of baseball with in college, it's Mitch Canham. Like I was buying every word that guy was saying. He could have sold me a used car.
He was a big fan of the brand, huh?
Yeah, very much so. But yeah, that game was like wild because they were down 3. I think it was 6-3 going into that 9th inning. And you mentioned just how, Oregon State made that comeback. They could have continued to blow that thing open though. 2nd and 3rd, nobody out. Tucker Biven comes in and shuts the door. And then Louisville goes out and wins it in the top of the 9th.
As soon as he did that, I knew it was over. I knew Louisville was going to win.
Yeah.
So.
And then Coastal Carolina just absolutely blew out Louisville. It was not.
That was what was most impressive with me. Coastal just went 3-0 and swept this bracket. I was not expecting that at all.
Too many people online are saying Coastal has had this like cupcake schedule.
Oh my God!
what the heck, man?
They beat all three of these teams too. They completely
all three of them swept Auburn in the Super. They swept through their own regional, swept through the Sun Belt tournament. Ain't no cakewalk, dude.
Yeah, I mean, everybody was picking Florida in that regional. They didn't even play them.
Yeah.
So that's how.
Anything else? Anything else in the top bracket?
I think Louisville's gonna be really good next year.
Dan McDonald, fan of the brand as well. He became a no beating.
Good, that just reminded me. Coastal, Arizona, Oregon State, Louisville. Are you guys buying stock on any of these teams for next year? Who are you buying most stock in?
I am going to buy the most stock in.
That's a tough question, dude.
Yeah, man, because Louisville loses a lot of production from that team. They had a lot of experience. Oregon State's going to bring back quite a bit of talent.
I think I'm buying stock in Oregon State.
Because they've got the young pitching, man. I think Oregon State's got to be the team.
It's going to have some turnover, but, dude, when you have a Friday night ace coming back, you've got a lot of bullpen pieces coming back. You can portal your way through your 5-hole, your 6-hole, and piece that lineup together, and they'll develop. But pitching, buying into a program, a routine, and a role coming back, I love Oregon State next year.
I think you have to buy stock in the Beavs and sell stock in Arizona. They lose Kevin Vance to San Diego State. He was the pitching coordinator for them and really just unlocked a whole new ceiling for the Wildcats. We'll see how they do. John DeRoyan steps in as the pitching coach for Arizona, and he was just working under Kevin Vance. But that lineup, it was 7 guys that are draft eligible or just out of eligibility. So they're losing a lot of production offensively, and they lose the pitching coach, which was a strength of this year's team, and they were hoping to continue that next year. So we'll see what happens with that team.
What about you?
I still like Louisville a lot. Remind me in January of next year. I'm gonna hype up Tage Davis. I think Tage Davis could win the Golden Spikes next year.
Woo!
He's a creative player on MLB The Show. He is who I create. No batting gloves, sunglasses, not a lot of swag. He is giant as a true freshman. His dad, he comes from a good bloodline. Dad was top 5 pick in the MLB draft, maybe in the 90s. But dude, he's as cool, calm, and collective as they come. He's going to be a star next year.
He reminded me of Louisville's first baseman, I want to say from 4 or 5 years ago. Before or after Pinellas, one or the other. But he reminded me of an old Louisville first baseman. Very similar, tall, lanky, a little bit of flow, lefty vibe type of guy. I really love him.
Was kind of like that. As a true freshman, he hit 18 homers or something.
Yeah. But Pinellas was a little more stockier, a little thicker.
Yeah.
But, yeah, so, okay, Oregon State, you're buying stock in. Noah, I'm buying stock in Oregon State, and Bennett in Louisville. We'll remember this.
I think stock in Arizona stock is too high right now. If that makes sense, we should have bought back in February. we missed the boat. They're going to be the next Apple. Just keep going up.
Hey, by the way, I should mention it too. Athletic departments, keep an eye on what Coastal Carolina is doing over there. They're funding baseball.
So easy. If you're a mid-major, invest all of your money into freaking baseball. Go win a national championship. You're not winning one. Murray State's not winning an FCS championship, not winning the basketball title. Go put all your money, Murray State, into baseball, and you will reap the rewards.
Which they are up for that.
Number one, they did 2 big steps a couple of days ago with signing Coach Skirka back and investing in more scholarship and NIL funds for their roster. So we'll talk about Murray State here. All right, gentlemen, UCLA, Murray State.
Well, I think the biggest takeaway from that game was Murray State could not catch a break, if that makes sense. Everything they hit was right at somebody. They had base runners every single inning and could not break through. Yeah, it was credit to UCLA. Pitching looked fine after that first inning. It was ugly first inning. I think both teams walked 2 guys and hit somebody. It was bad. But Murray State proved that they belong. It just they didn't like they would hit balls in the gap that would get caught, deep flyouts, diving plays in the outfield. Just like couldn't get that one play to like ignite the offense. The offense kept sparking, but never ignited.
Yeah, Nick Schutte through the first couple of innings had like 4 walks, 6 runs first 4 innings. They didn't remove him. They let him keep going out there, and he really settled in. Got through the 6th, I believe it was. I think he threw 6 there, and it really, allowed them to try to get back into this game offensively. Like Ben said, they just weren't able to get a clutch hit because they left 9 runners on base in this one, and UCLA was just pitching out of jams left and right the entire game. That was impressive, but we saw UCLA's pitching staff really kind of turn into a pumpkin later on in the tournament.
Yeah, I want to bring this up. Murray State belonged in this tournament, like in this, like the College World Series field of 8. They belonged. I know they got no hit by Arkansas, 19 strikeouts. Dude, they ran into prime Jake Arrieta from like 2015, 2016.
Put some respect on Kerry Wood's name.
Dude, I ran into
Gage Wood looked just like Jake Arrieta when he was going through his like 28 straight quality start streak in like 2016. Like Gage Wood was just better than everybody else on the field. Murray State only lost 3-0. Like Isaac Silva was unbelievable that day. And it's funny, like he's a Troy transfer and really found his home there with Coach Atkins, the pitching coach at Murray State. Dude, he was great. Like Arkansas won the game, they should have won the game. But if Gage Wood gets, I don't know, pulls a hammy or rolls an ankle or whatever, I still think Murray State would have won that game.
So I ran into multiple Racers players the night they got eliminated in that Gage Wood no-hitter. They all said that they ran into Jacob deGrom. So it's funny. It's funny that you said Jake Arrieta and we were talking about MLB guys. They couldn't stop about how Jacob deGrom pitched against them and the ball just kept going.
Bro, his spin, new vertical break nerd term basically just means how well the ball stays up. All based on your release point, whatever. I'm not going to explain it, but watching Gage Wood, his fastball was just going over it every single bat. They were swinging under it. I'll explain it shortly. I perceive a baseball coming in to meet your bat at a certain point. You swing where you perceive the ball, so you obviously don't see the ball all the way into the plate. So you perceive it. You see it up there, and your brain will automatically account for gravity, etc., and perceive it to be this much lower, whatever it is. His spin was keeping the ball up. So every hitter was just under it. And then he hit 12-6 hammer.
Yeah.
It was impossible to hit him on that day. Nobody was hitting him.
What they were telling me, too, is like once they were like, hey, we got to adjust this thing. It's just riding. He was throwing the cutter. And like the cutter was getting a little bit on the end of the barrel. They weren't getting good contact when they were making contact because they didn't make a whole lot. They struck out 19 times. But, then like the curveball was there the entire game. Like that was just unreal as well. Like, yeah, he was on in that one. That was something.
Nobody was hitting him that day.
It was the greatest pitching performance in college baseball history.
Yeah. And I ran into talking to those Racers guys, they wanted this known. Like, it was not like an easy path to get there. Like, this is a program, a field that not necessarily is the greatest. The facility's not necessarily the greatest, and this is being kind. I saw videos and pictures. Like they're like the guys coming in to the program this year, they're kind of going to be expecting Evo Shield gear. And they're like, they don't know what we went through to build this thing. And I was like, but yeah, guys, like take pride in that because you built the foundation for Coach Skirt at Murray State. And he didn't get the Duke job because his name was floating around in the Blue Devils circles there for the head coach. But he came back to Murray State. And, there was probably other schools than just Duke. But to, have him say the final word of, I don't think it's better than what I've got at Murray State. And for Murray State program to put a little bit more backing into it. Like they weren't even funding 11.7 this year. Get to that mark, maybe a little bit better, please. And hey, maybe they earned a little bit more faith in the athletic department and they get the respect they deserve.
That's their closest shot to being on the national stage year in and year out is baseball. But you know what I was thinking about watching Murray State play, watching all their videos, all their Omaha gear, their Evo Shield gear, just enjoying and taking in the ambience of Omaha.
Yeah, the experience.
East Carolina fans, Southern Miss fans, Dallas Baptist, some of these other schools that are just itching for the opportunity to go watching Murray State be there. It's just like, how the fuck did we let Murray State make it before we could get back there? And it's one of those things that's like, tip your cap to Dan Skirka, tip your cap to that whole coaching staff. They got it done. They were on the road the whole time. They didn't host no regional like they do in the jungle in Hattiesburg. They got it done all on the road. So it's one of those things. They earned the right to be there. And I don't want anyone to take that away from them. They earned the right to be in Omaha, no matter how they played there.
And there's reseeding nonsense being talked about right now. Murray State earned the right to be in that spot. Everybody talking about, oh, we should play Murray State. You know what Murray State did? They knocked off Ole Miss, was a 10-seed SEC host. They beat in that regional Georgia Tech, who won the ACC and had 40-plus wins. Then they went on the road, knocked off Duke. You want to run in and play in that against that team? You know, they earned the right to have their draw. They created that path for themselves. So, yeah. I'm totally.
If they ever reseed, I will not watch college. I will not watch college rules.
And Grissom of NCAA Insiders and I, we went through the exercise of reseeding. The only two teams that benefited from that was Arkansas and LSU. Those were the only two teams.
Yeah, no
Every other matchup cried about it. That's how the bracket played out. Deal with the card that you're dealt with and figure it out.
Yeah, tell your other conference to win some games and get to Omaha.
Reseeding, people can get the hell out of here.
I agree.
I
know we've just totally skipped over, but that first Arkansas LSU
You want to talk about both?
Yeah, let's talk about both. Let's do it. Man, there was a ton of people, dude.
Very cool.
You know, whenever you walk into Subway, the restaurant, and you open the door and you smell like the bread, and it's like, ooh, get some garlic. Like, it smells great when you walk into Subway. Not a paid advertisement. When you walked into Charles Schwab Field, 6 p.m., Saturday night, Hogs, Tigers, it just smelled like bourbon and cheap beer. I mean, the fans were tailgating all day in that back parking lot or at Rocco's or any of those bars downtown. I think the whole stadium, if they would have taken a breath out at the same time, would have blown like a .22. Hopefully nobody was driving that night. The whole stadium was like secondhand drunk. And dude, it was cooler than any Major League Baseball game I've been to, except for Game 5 of the 2017 World Series, Astros-Dodgers, greatest game ever. The atmosphere was great. It was really cool. The players played into it. And, LSU won the game. They should have won the game. They played better that day. But it was cool to be there.
Yeah. I will counter your statement by saying if you walked in at 6 p.m. Central Time, there was 40% of the people there. That is a little bit of an issue.
It's the stupid thing where they have to clear the stadium between games.
Yeah. You need another hour in between. Watching that firsthand, and we were sitting in seats until the fourth inning, and then somebody came into their seats. Like, how are you coming into the fourth inning during this game?
Is it because of the line?
Yeah. So you got to get everybody out of the stadium from Murray State, UCLA, which, by the way, went a little bit further, longer than expected. So that was one thing. So they're getting everybody out. They want to clean the stadium a little bit. So then the gates open, and now everybody is all crammed at the entrances trying to get in. And it's not a quick process. So everybody's all tailgating, and at the bars, like Ben mentioned, they're not yet into the stadium, and the game started. They just don't wait for all the fans.
They don't wait for the
They need to start that second game at like 7:30 local time because the shadows are bad at 6, and then also like the shadows are bad. Also, it's like, dude, it's too damn hot to be out there at 6 p.m. The sun is right there. If you start at 7:30, you'll get a couple innings in the sun, and then it like settles down. It's really nice. Weather's usually good. I don't know why they started at 6.
Yeah, that's a good point. Maybe either you wait for the stand to fill up, you kind of have a feel, or you just because you got to have a TV start time. It's got to be a hard start. So maybe add 30 minutes. Let everyone get in there.
8 p.m. Eastern is a great start time.
Yeah, but then you screw the team over that loses. They have to play the elimination. They have a day off, actually, on that first round.
Well, speaking of getting screwed over, we'll talk about UCLA. They got fucked. But this Arkansas LSU game, Zach Root goes through one inning totally fine. The second inning was a completely different story. Just got into trouble early, couldn't pitch himself out of it. Pitch count gets up to like 40. And I think the bases were loaded, and Van Horn just needed to make the change, rather than possibly it getting any worse, because I think they had 2 or so runs. Gabe Gackle comes in, and I don't even know if he surrendered one of those inherited runs, but I think it was just 2-0 out of that inning or something like that. Gackle threw the longest outing he had ever had in that game. Struck out 10, which was the most this season. Like, he was unbelievable out of the pen. That was the opening day starter that Arkansas thought they were getting this year, because he looked incredible against LSU in both games, because then he came in 3 innings with relief in game 2 against LSU, and then that game just had a whole different life in the 9th inning, 8th and 9th inning there. But Arkansas LSU, Kate Anderson just grabbed control of this game, never really let Arkansas breathe. It was just LSU pushed across 2 runs early, and it was good enough.
Yep.
Second game, or do you want to do?
Okay, everyone's gonna be silent. I guess I'm taking the lead, which is kind of funny. Ben, this is Ben's job.
Dude, I don't know if you can see
there. I wasn't there, so I'm kind of outside.
30 seconds, I'm out. I don't know if you can see this. I'm like having an allergic reaction. I think it's just from the dust from my desk that I just put in a moving truck. Dude, my right eye
is swollen.
I like keep rubbing it. It's making it worse.
Well, then don't rub it.
It's hard. It's itchy.
All right. So UCLA LSU game just never got started. Or no, it started, and then they resumed it the next morning. And UCLA just got screwed out. They got to play 2 games that day. I think UCLA battled. I think they fought well in College World Series.
Yeah, they jumped all over Anthony Ianson in the first inning. They put up 3 runs there. LSU, though, responded. It wasn't like,
This is hilarious.
I know. He's literally pouring water out of a bottle.
Poor guy, dude. Your eye. Let's hurry up and finish this. Let this man get off and go take care of it.
The dust, dude.
It honestly reminds me of I don't want to say it, but UCLA puts up 3. LSU responds with 5 unanswered going into the break in the game. The narrative going into it is, oh my God, and Anthony Ianson only threw like 45 pitches. The Tigers might have got screwed here. But it quickly turned into Kason Evans shoved in the resumed game. UCLA didn't have a chance when they started 3 runs behind or 2 runs behind. And then, Ben, anything else you want to add there?
I was just shocked that UCLA put up a 3 spot early on Ianson. Like, that was surprising because, like, I'm not gambling on this game, but I follow people on Twitter that are like posting pics and, have some group messages and stuff. Everybody was like, "Oh, hammer the under, like under 9.5 and under 10.5, whatever it is." And it was like 8. It was like 8 runs in the first inning.
I was on LSU minus 2.5 in that one.
Yeah, it's just like right when you think you know something about college baseball and like have an edge gambling wise, like somebody's going to boot a ground ball at short, and there's been an 8-run inning.
So let's get right to the meat of this bracket. LSU Arkansas. Wednesday night.
Well, do you want to talk about UCLA Arkansas? Because, UCLA did get fucked. I mean, they threw.
I mean,
they threw like 5 of the same arms in that Arkansas game that they did in the LSU game. I don't know how you can Dimitri, you throw 15 pitches at 1:00, and then you go out at 8:00 and you throw 15 pitches again. Does that work?
I did that when I was 12 years old. I had never done that when I was 25, 24. Well, no. But yeah, I think part of winning a national championship, part of making this run all the way through, things got to go your way sometime.
I want to give UCLA the flowers. UCLA starts 8 sophomores.
Yeah,
they are going.
We'll do our.
He wants to do the stock report after this.
We'll do our stock report at the end.
I want to cut right through. They have the best player in the country, Rock Chalowski, and 7 other sophomores. He did have a bad week, but that's okay. Great season.
I didn't say bad, quiet.
Quiet week. Dude, UCLA is going to be freaking nasty next year.
Gentlemen.
They're going to be real good.
Wednesday night, 6 p.m., the granddaddy of them all, the rematch, LSU, Arkansas. Arkansas needs 2 to get to the championship series. LSU needs 1. This game was just phenomenal. 1 through 9 innings. The first 6 innings was a beautiful pitcher's duel. Tip of the cap to Zach Cowan. The guy went out there and gave him 5 in the 3rd inning of shut a 1-run baseball on a run that I think, 5 in the 3rd inning, 1-run baseball, took LSU into the 6th. Couldn't ask for anything more from that guy. So, and I believe he's a transfer from Wofford. Am I wrong?
He froze. You froze there for a second.
He's a transfer from Wofford, correct?
Yeah. Coach
Jay Johnson. The one that I think shoved against him last year in the league.
Well, he didn't pitch directly against him. He threw the losers bracket game. Jay Johnson prepared for him, leading into the regional. They just didn't face him. But once he watched like a bunch of film, he was like, I want that guy. So he was talking about that post game.
Must be cool to be a big school and just say, I want that guy, and go take him.
Zach Cowan is going to be an important arm because he throws more strikes than Chase Shores. LSU is going to have to use Cowan against Coastal Carolina often.
So I don't think anybody listening to this missed the LSU Arkansas game, so we're not going to sit here and break it down and explain to what happened because I think everybody was watching that game. But the moral of the story is the curse on Arkansas is a real thing, just like the Chicago Cubs, just like the Boston Red Sox. It is a real curse that is going to take something crazy to break.
Dimitri, that team had the best fielding percentage of the 8 teams in Omaha and number 1 fielding percentage in the country. And it
was uncharacteristic of them. I know. It was uncharacteristic. I'm telling you, it's a curse. People can say they choked, whatever. Part of a curse is being forced to choke.
Can I say this too? Everybody's going to talk about the Vahivo Aloy play, how you could have turned to Charles Davelin slips in the outfield. That was unfortunate all the way around. The play that needs to be made that was the first one. The ground ball into the first base, second base hole. Robinette can't go for that ball, and he did. He fields it. Now Gibbler, a left-handed pitcher who falls off on the right side of the mound, has to go cover first base. He's a little tardy. The throw's behind Gibbler. Their catcher Helfrich is running down the first base line to back up the throw, and it goes behind him into the where the backstop is.
And if I'm Dan Horn, I just throw this one out the window. Don't forget about it. Move on. It's a curse, man. That was uncharacteristic, just a curse type thing for Arkansas. Freaking, what's his name? Struck out first guy to start the 9th inning. I go, this game's over. This game is over. I'll see you Arkansas and LSU tomorrow night. And it was just a choke. Curse came over. Davalon just had to be the guy that all eyes were on. Ball hits off his shoulder and back. I don't even know where the hell it hit him.
Shoulder.
I mean, it was just. I do that play 10 times again. He makes the catch every single time. Arkansas, you're cursed. It is what it is. It's going to take something crazy for you guys to win.
I agree. It's a tough look for Arkansas, and I do feel bad.
I felt awful. Yeah.
Now, sometimes I don't feel bad, like in the middle of April when Hog Nation is chirping us. Like, never mind. Won't go down that road. But
so last night, Jack and I shared a lot of drinks with staffers of Arkansas. It wasn't last night, 2 nights ago now, but the same thing. Like, that was a special team. That was a team that really could have won it all. You look at pair ratings. He tweeted out like the last couple of national champions, and like Arkansas is through the chart in efficiency, both on the mound and at the plate. And it was the only other teams were like 23 LSU, and I don't know, like
probably 2019 Vandy, they were efficient as hell.
Something like that.
Some of the best teams to ever win it.
Yeah, and just it was a really good defense, and they made boneheaded mistakes in the ninth. It's like, oh my god,
generational performances, and they didn't even get to the championship series. Like that, it was just so unfortunate. This team, Geichel, freaking Gage Wood. I mean, you can't even be mad at Zach Root. Zach Root, didn't have his best stuff, but they had legendary performances. They had all kinds of pitching available, and it just didn't work out for them. So
Root bounced back and pitched really well against UCLA.
Yep. He did. So it just showed you how difficult it is to win a national championship. And I think Arkansas will be here plenty more time. You just got to break the curse. You need something to go your way to break the curse.
That game was like the chess moves between Coach Jay Johnson and Dave Van Horn were unbelievable. Really kind of from the 6th inning on, there was like a chopper that went over the third baseman's head of Arkansas, and now you got first and second with I think one or nobody out. Then in that inning, I think they intentionally walk somebody to get to
Jake Brown.
Yeah, Chris Stanfield, but Jay Johnson pitch hits for Chris Stanfield, and it's Jake Brown. He gets the big hit. Just incredible. That won the game.
So, all right, gentlemen, buy stock. UCLA, Murray State, Arkansas, LSU.
I mean, UCLA is the obvious answer here.
UCLA.
I'm buying stock in UCLA. LSU might get you a 2x in return on your money.
It might.
UCLA can get you a 10x on your return on money.
Yeah.
And in the Missouri Valley, you got to expect every publication, everybody's going to be all over Murray State preseason. We'll see what they return, what kind of things happen in January.
They're not returning a lot.
No, they're losing a lot.
Yeah.
But Indiana State, they showed continued dominance in the Missouri Valley for a couple of years. Let's see if Skirka can get something rolling and keep the racers relevant.
Yeah, that top three of Jonathan Hogart, Dusty Mercer, Carson Garner were all like historical program names for years to come now.
Yeah, Dom Decker, he's coming back. My favorite player, Money Gwynn.
Yeah. I don't think he put up a point for me in fantasy though.
That's all right.
They got no hit, so it really kind of ruined some fantasy. But yeah.
All right. Well, are we going to do a recap show on Monday?
Let's do it.
After Coastal sweeps?
No, stop doing that. I got it.
Sorry.
Jeez.
Yeah, we got to get Jack on. So
we'll get a recap episode, and we're very notorious for not doing a recap episode. LSU fans think we hate them because we didn't recap their national championship in 2023. So I think we should do that again and not recap it if they win. But if Coastal win, 100% recap the national championship. LSU win, we'll see you guys in January.
I will say I'll bring a list of coaching changes that we can talk about just to add.
Yeah, we'll do a final. We'll recap the national championship.
I like what Dimitri did last year too. He went through all the most liked clips that you guys tweeted. We can relive some memories of the year.
Yep, we'll do a full season recap. We haven't really talked much about the coaching changes, like O'Connor going to Virginia, Pollard going to
Pollard's Virginia, O'Connor
going to Mississippi State. What's his name? Muscara from Wake Forest going to Duke. We'll talk about all that stuff. And, Pat Hallmark staying put in UTSA. We'll talk about all that stuff once the season is over and get through this national championship.
Yes,
perfect.
Sir.
Well, we appreciate everybody for listening. Enjoy some baseball this weekend, and we'll be back to recap the College World Series at the either Monday or Tuesday or Sunday, whenever it is.
We'll recap sometime during the week, like Tuesday night probably, because I'll be back home. I'll be out of the house for the next couple of days.
That's if my right eye doesn't go blind. Dude.
Hey, Ben, in your new house, you better get that little pantry filled with antibiotic, Band-Aid.
Your brother will put up a career performance in the bars this week, by the way.
I love that. Proud of him.
Yeah.
All right. See you, everybody.